For the first time that God was separated from his son. For the first time that among the three, if you go to heaven, they were not complete. One had left, and for 3 days, he was in hell. What was heaven like? Something that God did that is so amazing in giving us Christ. Do you know that when God gave us Jesus, when he gave us Jesus Christ, actually what he did, he targeted the root of the human problem, such that this problem is solved, and solved once for all. Let me explain. You don't need healing. If what you needed was healing, Jesus would not have come to die. Because before Jesus came, their healing was provided. You don't need prosperity. If what you need is prosperity, Jesus should not have come to die. Because before you came, God was, in fact, he took some people from Egypt to Canaan. 40 years they were on the road. He fed them. They didn't farm. In fact, the money he asked them to collect from their taskmasters were not supposed to be spent. It's just for when you wake up in the morning, you count it and know that you still have money in your pocket. Because they were not going to buy anything on the road. There were no market on the road. And the land they're going to dispossess the people of that land and occupy their houses and their farmland. So what was the money for? Is somebody get what I'm saying? So why did Jesus come to die? All the other things we come today and celebrate as what God has done. He's not really. Because in the Old Testament, God was tried on every option. You think it was easy for God to send his son. Let me tell you. It wasn't only his son that suffered. The father himself suffered too. I even think that his father suffered more. You know what happened to God? To be separated from his son for the first time. A son that he was pleased with. And then he was separated from him. For the first time that God was separated from his son. For the first time. That among the three, if you go to heaven, they were not complete. One had left, and for 3 days, he was in hell. What was heaven like? Without the union of the Father and the Son. For the first time. You thought it was an easy thing. I'm not just talking about the fact that you saw your son humiliated, disgraced, reproached, and killed, and dragged into hell, and you saw him suffering in hell. Separated from you. So it wasn't only the son that suffered. The father too suffered trauma. If you meet some of those angels, they will tell you that heaven was something else that day. It was like a burial ground. There was nothing happening there. Some of them kept looking at the throne of God, kept wondering what the father was doing. And there were some of them that were on earth. They were ready to act. If only he would say a word. He kept quiet. And that would bring me to something else that the Lord was talking to me about. Is somebody listening to what I'm saying? So why will God go that extra mile? For 3,000 years, God was doing party, trying all kinds of things. But he found out that the more he tried to make things work, it didn't work. So God came down to one option. This man had to come here and die. So why? It's because before now, God solved the problems of man without reaching out to the root of the problem. Are you what I'm saying now? It's just like giving you fruit. You still don't have the tree. The next time you eat it, is finished, you come back to me again. But God wanted us to be able to bear the fruit ourselves. So in giving us Jesus, the primary thing that God gave us, please understand this. The primary thing that God gave us was life. What? Life. There was a kind of life that those who received Jesus Christ received. They are created anew. All things passed away. They became new creatures. So this man can be sitting down in a class with another man. But if you bring something to view them in the spirit, this one looks like God and this one looks like Satan. This one is not just a man. The life that this one has is just like putting a dog and a goat inside a vehicle. I hope physically when you look at that, you know there are two different things. They have two different lives. There are certain things that can affect the dog that cannot affect goat. Am I correct? So you realize that a born-again Christian has a different kind of life. What God did to him is that God exported his life into him. Because how God rule and how God reign is by life. If God condescend to a lower kind of life, he will suffer what people in that realm of life suffer. There is a life that God has in him that exalted him, that put him in a realm of his own. It was that life he introduced into you. Go and look through the New Testament. You will understand that the trade that Jesus came to introduce was life.